Trade reports and rumors are intensifying as the draft and free agency are just a few days away, and multiple insiders have linked a former Rangers superstar and multiple-time Stanley Cup champion to the New York Rangers. We're going to break all of that down, but before we do, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 80% of you watching our videos are not actually subscribed to the channel, so if you want to do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button. It's going to be a crazy, hectic week for the New York Rangers. Will Jacob Trouba get traded? Who are they going to sign in free agency? What about the draft? Are they going to keep their first round pick? Who are they going to take with their first round pick if they keep it? It's going to be really exciting here on the channel, not only on the channel, but for the Rangers. But anyway, let's get into it. The name might be shocking that I'm going to talk about. We had a video just a couple days ago on him, but yes, again, it is Patrick Kane. It seems like the Rangers definitely have interest in this player. Chris Drury definitely has interest in this player again, and it seems like the player has interest in returning to New York. So we'll take a look. We'll dive right in. There was a feeling even when Kane was getting close to signing this past season that there was some unfinished business for him. The New York Rangers were one of the teams who were in the mix for him. They just couldn't offer him as much money as the Red Wings, and that was from Frank Seravalli. So obviously this player believes that there is some unfinished business in New York. And to take it just a bit further from Chris Johnston, Kane's going to be looking for, I would think, somewhere in the 3-year contract range, maybe a 2-year deal. The Devils are in the details of the negotiations. I know there has been a lot of smoke about a return to the New York Rangers, and of course, that is about Patrick Kane. And we'll dive right into it. First of all, my thoughts personally, for a lower cap hit and what's been rumored, like 2 years, maybe 3 years, 2 years, that's a really sweet spot. I think if it's 2 years, you really do that if you're the Rangers. And again, if it's a very low AAV, I think you do it, right? Because you just freed up salary cap space, sending Barclay Goodrow to waivers. He was claimed by the San Jose Sharks. So I think if you have that money, obviously you have the money available. And if the player wants to take, only that, I think it's a no-brainer, obviously, for him to return to the New York Rangers. That's just my personal opinion on that. I think he could be a great help for the Rangers. I think there's unfinished business. I thought this player had a great season last year, and we will dive right into the stats. It really started with this from Larry Brooks, and say what you want about Larry Brooks. There is some validity to things once he reports on them, right? So this is from his column. Stop me if you've heard this before. The Rangers are in on Kane. And like Phil says in a quote from the article, stop me if you've heard this before, but the Rangers are interested in bringing Patrick Kane back to Broadway. They're very interested. So it sounds like talks are well underway. Per Brooks, again, the Rangers are prioritizing Patrick Kane in free agency. It sounds like they really want Patrick Kane, and it's really heating up. And these are no longer rumors. Like when I made a video just a couple days ago on Patrick Kane, it was kind of rumors and people just floating ideas around. There is some validity to this now. There is something behind this. A lot of reporters are reporting on this. A lot of insiders have some say into it. So more on to the contract thing. Again, this is just kind of rumored, but kind of in the ballpark of what I was saying. 2 years to 3 million, 3.5, something like that. I'd be open to re-signing him, but this is from NYR Louis. I like Patrick Kane. I think he still has a lot of hockey left in him. I'm not going to give him 3 years, $5 million though, and I totally agree with that. He's 37 years old, right? Or he's going to be 37. That's just a bad idea. So 2 years, 3 million, 3.5, 4 million, in that range, I would be happy with that personally. And when you look back at what Patrick Kane did with the New York Rangers just a couple seasons ago, I mean, he's not going to ruin the current chemistry whatsoever. He was a great addition to the team. And, playing with Chris Kreider, for example, on the other wing would be great to reunite that. I think that would be a great first line once again. And Patrick Kane had a great season. We're going to get into his stats in just a little bit. He had a great season in Detroit. There's no reason to believe now that after the surgery, anything would be different, right? We talked about it in my last video. This type of surgery that he had, a lot of players either don't return from it or they're just not themselves anymore, right? They're not the same player and they kind of fizzle out. This guy came back, made an impact last year for the Detroit Red Wings, and they almost made the playoffs. And I think he, like mentioned before, he has unfinished business in New York, and the stats speak for themselves. I mean, great advanced stats. And again, from Louis, I will say, even with a bad hip, the Kreider, Trocheck, and Kane were very effective in their 95 minutes together, which is true. They looked pretty decent in the playoffs for a time, right, until the Devils won that series, took over that series. But they outscored their opponents 6-2. The advanced stats were great. You know, I think if he was to make a return, it would be great, right? And this guy brings championship pedigree, and he was playing hurt the last time he was a Ranger. I think that's been lost in all of this. Patrick Kane was playing very hurt and needed surgery the last time he was a Ranger. There's a lot more this guy can give to the New York Rangers this time around, I think. So it's very interesting, right? And we'll take a look at his stats. We'll just dive into his stats now. Last season, he played 50 games. He had 47 points. He's almost a point-a-game player still at 35 years of age. He almost dragged, not by himself obviously, but helped drag the Detroit Red Wings into the playoffs. I don't put too much stock into plus minus unless it's very egregious. But anyway, plays in different situations, plays on the power play. It could be great for the Rangers power play as well. Most certainly would be on it probably. Plays almost 20 minutes a night still last year. Like, just unbelievable what Patrick Kane has done since coming back from surgery, hip surgery. A lot of guys, like I mentioned, do not return from that. So great to see him still succeeding in the NHL, of course, and maybe as a New York Ranger. It's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on, right? The words prioritize speak to me a lot, right? If we can go back to that, per Brooks, the Rangers are prioritizing Patrick Kane. It sounds like they really want this player, almost like it's the number one thing that they're looking at least in maybe free agency. They should be looking at, you know, offloading some more salary and stuff like that. But interesting, very interesting to say the least. I like Patrick Kane as a player. I always have. I still do, personally. I think he would really help the Rangers. I still think even if they sign him, they can add more grit and whatever everyone else wants. I think they can still offload a lot of salary and get creative this offseason. So, and I'm looking at you, Jacob Trouba, and we'll have a video on that as well. But I think there's a lot to this. And again, this is an NHL rumor account, so take this with a grain of salt, of course. But it said, I'm hearing that Patrick Kane will be a New York Ranger on July 1st. Drury and his agent have been working away at agreeing to a contract, and it's progressing very well. Kane will be coming back to New York. So obviously where there's smoke, there is fire, right? I mean, multiple insiders, even Pierre LeBrun now, still tough to tell how things will unfold with pending UFA Patrick Kane. His camp, led by agent Pat Brisson, still having conversations with the Red Wings, but the market opens on Monday. So obviously I'm sure they're talking to the Red Wings. But time is ticking, right? The market opens on Monday. It's going to be very interesting. And then lastly, from Chris Johnson again, there's been a lot of smoke about a return to the Rangers. If we had to pick a front runner, I would say it's the Rangers. It seems like Patrick Kane, certainly at this point, may become a New York Ranger again. So let me know in the comments what you think of that, because it's exciting, right? A lot of people were saying, there's very mixed reactions, okay? Like, a lot of people were saying this is a terrible move. We need more of this. We need more of that. We don't bring Patrick Kane back. It's going to make too much. He's too old. He was a very effective player last year. I think for the right salary, and if it's 2 years, this would be a great move for the New York Rangers. And he could basically just take what Gaudreau was making, make a bigger impact in both ways, because Patrick Kane over Gaudreau in the playoffs, regular season, whatever it is, I'm taking that every day of the week personally. And you can still use more available cap space that you have this offseason to sign Schneider and Lindgren, and you still have some left over to do something with this free agency. And of course, you can always move on and get creative with Jacob Trouba, and we'll have a video on that. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason and next couple of days for the New York Rangers here. Patrick Kane could end up a New York Ranger in the next couple of days. It's going to be very, very exciting with the draft around the corner. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.